All right, let's dive in. Today we're tackling cybersecurity, specifically least privilege enforcement.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, we've got articles, videos, even a bio to unpack, all to help you make smarter security choices.
You know, this is something that can benefit everyone, really.
You're right, no matter your tech level, we all rely on technology, and that means risk, right?
Absolutely.
So first things first, what exactly is this least privilege enforcement?
Well, think of it as being very careful with who gets what access. You know, like giving them the exact keys they need.
Okay, got it.
The article from Delinea, they define it as restricting user permissions. So they only get what's absolutely needed for their job.
Kind of like a super targeted security guard for every digital door.
Exactly. It really minimizes those risks, from those accidental clicks to, well, even insider threats.
Okay, starting to see why this is important. But wouldn't managing this be a nightmare, especially for bigger companies?
It can be tricky, yeah. But the benefits are worth it. It's all about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Not locking everything down so tight that no work gets done.
Right, strategic access. So where do we actually see this in action?
Well, that's where our next source comes in, Bert Blevins. He's a certified cyber insurance specialist, entrepreneur, and educator, the whole package.
And he actually USES Delinea, the company from the article we just talked about.
Yeah, that's got to give them some credibility, right? Someone in the field using their system.
Definitely. So what does this expert have to say?
He has tons of videos, but one that really stands out is about Oath, OTP, MFA.
That's a mouthful.
It stands for One-Time Password Multi-Factor Authentication. Might sound complicated, but it's a powerful tool.
I've heard of MFA, but honestly, always thought it was just, a hassle.
I get that,
Yeah.
but it's all about that extra layer of security. So not just your username and password, which can be compromised.
Oh, I see.
MFA makes you prove it's really you, like a lock with two keys and only you have them both.
Not just harder to break in, but actually verifying it's ME trying to get in.
You got it. And there are different types, each with their pros and cons. Blevins mentions authenticator apps like Google Authenticator and Authy.
Those are the ones with the codes that change all the time, right?
Exactly. He talks about those, biometrics like fingerprint scanning, even physical keys. Really breaks it all down.
Wow, way more interesting than I thought. But how does all this connect back to least privilege?
Well, MFA is a great example of limiting access even further. Even if someone steals your password, they still can't get in without that second verification.
So it's like another layer on top of that focused approach we talked about.
Precisely. And that leads us to another interesting thing Blevins brings up, unlimited admin mode. It makes you think about how we balance giving admins the power they need while still sticking to least privilege.
Ooh, now that sounds tricky. I mean, unlimited power, doesn't that completely contradict the whole idea?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, and one we'll be exploring more in depth in part 2. It's a delicate balance for sure.
I'm still processing this unlimited admin mode thing. Seems kind of dangerous, doesn't it?
It can be, yeah. But to really get it, we need to understand regular admin modes first. They usually have limits, even for those with high-level access.
So even admins don't have, complete control.
Right, checks and balances, but unlimited admin mode, well, it removes those limitations.
Uh-oh.
Now, sometimes maybe you do need that much access, but most of the time, it's asking for trouble.
Yeah, I can see how that makes least privilege tough. If someone has unlimited power, it's like the whole concept goes poof.
It definitely adds complexity, but Blevins says the key is, well, even more careful management.
Like giving someone the master key, but you're watching their every move.
Exactly. Strong logging systems, knowing who's doing what, and clear rules for giving or taking away that level of access.
Okay, makes sense. But practically speaking, what can you do to manage the risks of this, or even just regular admin access?
One thing Blevins talks about is password rotation, especially for those high-privilege accounts.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that, but never really got why it mattered.
Think about it. If someone gets into an admin account, rotating the password limits the damage they can do and for how long.
Like changing the locks on your house. Even if someone got a key, it wouldn't work for long.
Exactly. And Blevins even shows how to automate it in Red Hat Linux. Security, but without the extra work.
Automation is always a good thing, like a security robot working 24/7.
And that leads to another point Blevins emphasizes, monitoring, always auditing.
You can't just set it up and forget it.
No, it's ongoing, checking logs, reviewing permissions, making sure everyone's playing by the rules. It's crucial.
I'm sensing this is more than just flipping a switch and saying we've got least privilege, all good.
It's definitely layered, yeah. And as we move more stuff to the cloud, it gets even trickier. Which brings us to another concept Blevins covers, cloud identity discovery.
Ooh, the cloud. Honestly, security in the cloud feels like a black box to me. Important, but where do you even start?
Blevins explains it well. It's about finding those hidden vulnerabilities in your cloud environment, like shining a light in those dark corners.
So a security audit, but specifically for the cloud.
You got it. And it's not just about who has access, it's about what they can do, what they are doing. Are there unnecessary risks?
I see how this all ties back to least privilege. Even in the cloud, it's being careful about who gets what access, making sure it's justified.
Right on. Blevins really stresses this: don't just give access for convenience. Scrutinize every request. Does it really follow least privilege?
And it's not just about those outside threats, right? It's also about managing internal risks, those accidental clicks or good intentions that go wrong.
You're right. Least privilege is about minimizing risk from all angles. And Blevins even takes it further, talking about how it applies to disaster recovery.
Ooh, that's interesting. How does that work? Least privilege in disaster.
Imagine your systems crash. You gotta access critical data, restore backups, get things running ASAP. But those procedures often involve really sensitive info, passwords, keys, things you don't want just anyone seeing.
Yeah, like the master key to the whole kingdom.
Exactly. So Blevins talks about building resilient secrets for disaster recovery. Even in a crisis, only the right people get access to what they absolutely need.
So even when things are chaotic, least privilege still matters.
It might seem counterintuitive, but yeah, it's about minimizing risk at every level. Because a disaster, that's when systems are most vulnerable, when a security breach could be the worst.
Wow, this has been a lot to absorb. But honestly, we started feeling overwhelmed, and now I feel more, well, in control of my own security.
That's the power of what Blevins does. He breaks down these complicated things into steps anyone can use.
So, ready for the final piece of the puzzle? I'm excited to see what concrete takeaways we can actually apply ourselves. All right, we've covered so much in this deep dive. Least privilege, the cloud, even disaster recovery. But let's make this practical. What can our listeners do with all this?
It's about changing how you think about security. Being proactive, taking charge, instead of waiting for, well, something bad to happen.
So what are the big takeaways, the things people should focus on right now?
Well, number one, enable multi-factor authentication, MFA, on all your important accounts. We talked about it, but it's that important. Simple step, huge protection boost.
Yeah, I used to think MFA was just annoying, but after learning more, I totally get it. It's like a bodyguard for your accounts.
And most platforms offer it these days, so no excuses.
What else should we be thinking about?
Those permissions you give to apps and websites, it's so easy to just click accept, right? But they can access a lot of your data.
Yeah, I've definitely done that without even thinking. What should we be looking for specifically?
Ask yourself, do they really need access to my location, my contacts, my camera? If not, revoke those permissions. It's all about giving the bare minimum.
So MFA, check those app permissions. Got it. What else?
Strong passwords, unique for each account. And consider a password manager. Might seem like a hassle, but worth it for the peace of mind.
Oh, and don't forget, software updates. Easy to ignore those pop-ups, but they often have those security patches.
Absolutely. It's like your security system is constantly learning, staying ahead of the threats.
This has been quite a journey. We started feeling overwhelmed, but now it's more like we can take control of our security.
It's amazing how a concept like least privilege, which sounds kind of complicated, can be broken down into these, well, actionable steps.
Being mindful, proactive. And cybersecurity is a journey, not a one-time thing.
So as we wrap up, I'll leave you with this. What's one area in your digital life where you can apply least privilege right now?
Think about it. And if you want more guidance, definitely check out Bert Blevins' YouTube channel. He's a cybersecurity goldmine.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into least privilege enforcement. Hope you found it useful.
Until next time, stay safe out there.